Gabriel Morrow. Very interesting conversation with Gabriel. He's from Tennessee. He moved to Ontario, Canada, has a big issue and is fighting for expats that have to file U.S. taxes in other countries. And he had some complications there, some issues there. Very interesting conversations. He had some very interesting conversation with him and kind of his fight to get there to where he is. He has something very, very common in common with the Pope. I wonder what you think that is. But very great discussion with Gabriel. He's intriguing. He wants to fight for what he believes in. And I was comforted and surprised by a lot of his answers and where he is now. The conversation did get cut off at one particular point. He had a family emergency he had to run off to. But still, I think there's some. I really enjoyed the discussion with him and his feedback and learning from others. Thank you, Gabriel, and thank you for watching and listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word, discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission? How do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Be yourself, Gabriel Morrow. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm very excited to talk to you. You're in Ontario, Canada now. What do you miss most about Tennessee?
I do miss my family somewhat. I'll admit I've had a crazy issues with them, but I do miss them.
Mostly family?
Yeah. I also do miss, there's a little restaurant that sells French fries in Tennessee. Central Park's the name of it in Cleveland, Tennessee. I definitely miss that, believe it or not. They made some of the best French fries I've ever eaten. So next time I go there, I'm going to get some, but...
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow. Well, you're up there in Ontario. They just put gravy on their French fries. They call it something else, poutine. But do you like it that? Do you like that?
I've tried it before. It's not really my preferred way of eating fries, but everybody's different. A lot of people here like it. I think one of the biggest surprises that I've noticed from moving here is that everybody loves ketchup. For some reason, I think Canadians eat more. I think my wife eats more ketchup than my entire family in the States does. I'm not saying that to say anything bad about her.
Of course.
As an example.
Yes, and they put vinegar on their French fries too, white vinegar sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I know they do ketchup chips and vinegar chips and
ketchup chips.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And now you miss your family, but you've made a new family there. Tell me, I think it was like you got married, it was Valentine's Day, and then her birthday, I believe, all in the same week.
Yeah, it's a heck of a week, you could say.
Tell me about it.
Well, let's see. We got married on February the 12th of 2020. February the 13th is her birthday. February the 14th is Valentine's Day, so that's a little bit of a interesting week.
Very interesting, I would say. Some big changes there in your life. Good for you.
Yeah.
So that was 6 years ago. So why did you move from Tennessee,
Well,
Gabriel?
I moved from Tennessee. I mean, we talk about like your show's mostly about like responsibility or whatever it is. I can't remember the term you use, but I mean, I originally moved to Tennessee because of money reasons mainly. I wanted to move with my wife, and moving to the States is a little bit harder to do from a financial standpoint than moving to Canada, especially with if you go on the spousal route, you have to have certain proof of income. Medical also becomes a factor. If you move to Canada, the government of Canada takes care of most of your medical expenses. It's not the case if you move to the States, you have to pay medical and stuff. So it was just financially easier to move to Canada.
So you made the financial decision to move there. You you got married there when you moved there because you weren't married before you got there, correct? You said in February.
Well, I got married in February of 2020, and I stayed in the States for a little while. I did mail
Oh,
in the
that was in the
application
States.
for moving
I see.
to move to Canada and stuff, but I basically I stayed in Canada for the most part, or in the States for the most part, until September of 2020 when I basically came back to Canada with my wife, and I basically stayed there permanently at the time. I got permanent residency in 2021, January of 2021.
Something pretty big happened a couple of months after that in the whole world.
Yeah, as well. Big stuff happened in March of 2020, right, not long after I got married. It was probably whenever
Right.
big things happened, around March 15th or so of 2020, whenever COVID hit. I mean,
So
it was
tell me what
technically
that was
taking
like.
place. Technically, I mean, I was in Cleveland, Tennessee for a part of it. I mean, I was working at my prior job at Walmart and stuff at that time. And at the time, I mean, we had the mask mandates, we had everything that you typically see, but at the time, it wasn't that big of a deal initially. I mean, I just kept working. I mean, I kind of didn't see the virus as a big deal or whatever. It didn't really change the way I acted for the most part. Then a few months later, I took a leave of absence from Walmart because they had that option. And I continued onward to my wife came down from Canada at that stage, and we moved on from there and just continued to go. She After she came back down from Canada, I basically stayed here with her for a while, and then whenever she went back to Canada, I went with her and stayed in Canada ever since then, pretty much.
And now it's home for you.
Yeah, it's basically my home now.
So why stay there? What is your? You have a very big issue right now. What's happening? Why you're staying there? Why you're not coming back to the States? Correct.
Well, I mean, I'm not against coming back to the States. One of the big reasons I stay here is because my wife's here. I can't really move her to the States right now. I don't
Mm,
have the money for that.
mm.
Financially, it's time consuming and there's a lot of hassle there. So that's one reason I'm staying here. The other reason, of course, is the situation with the IRS. I know once the media starts covering it, it's going to be a big thing. But right now, the mainstream media has largely been ignoring it for the time being.
Ignoring what exactly, Gabriel? Tell me what the
Well,
issue is.
Well, they've been ignoring several things. I mean, one of them, like that usage of that low income tax clinic outside the United States. I'm the only taxpayer to have used one outside the United States.
I'm
That's
sorry,
issue
I don't
one.
know what you mean. Explain. Let's dive into that. The what now?
The low income tax clinic.
A
That's
low
one thing
income
they,
tax clinic.
yeah, that's one thing that the mainstream media is ignoring. And
And what
now I
is
know
it?
well, I know you know a bit about how bad the tax code is for Americans abroad from your prior chat with Anthony. I'm pretty sure you know that. But I used a legal loophole to help with my taxes because in 2021, it helps to go back to 2021 to understand it. Because in 2021, I moved to Canada and I'd go about following my 2020 return here in Canada. And I had wages from the States and unemployment income, things like that. So I was expecting a refund, okay? Now, no refund came in 2021, so I just assumed it got lost in the mail. I mean, Mail Service International was delayed because they had so many COVID restrictions. I mean, it took 6 months to get a letter that should have taken 2 weeks pre-COVID. So
Wow.
mail was a total disaster. So I'm like, it's lost in the mail. I'm not going to deal with it. Nobody wants to call the IRS in 2021 with the long wait times on the phone and stuff. So I'm like, it ain't worth it. It's only $1,800 is what I was thinking at the time. So I just put it in the back burner, didn't think about it. But unbeknownst to me, there was two problems with that tax return that year. One, they flagged it as possible identity theft refund fraud because they had seen a return was I was trying to mail my return to Canada, and before that it was always direct deposit. So the fraud systems went, wait a minute, something ain't right here.
Mm.
The second thing that happened was somehow or another they misplaced my return. I don't know how they did that or whatever, but apparently they misplaced it. So those two things happened there. But again, I didn't think anything about it. I'm in Canada. Fast forward to 2022, I filed my tax return again. I'm not expecting a refund or anything from the IRS, so I just mail it in and move on with my life. 2023, I have a settlement from legal issues in the States, and I'm expecting a refund in 2023, but the H&R Block switches to this e-filing system. So I have to put in an identity theft protection pin, and I don't know nothing about what they mean by why do I need a pin. So they had me call the IRS to figure out what this pin was about. And that's whenever I first found out that something was wrong with my 2020 refund. And what I thought was lost in the mail was actually IDT refund fraud and all this other nonsense. So I spent a
One
lot of
second.
time.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Braze, but back in 2020, you said that they misplaced it and it was detected for fraud. How can they detect it for fraud if it was misplaced?
Well, apparently somehow they had two errors on the return. They originally flagged it as possible IDT refund fraud, and on top of that, somehow the original return got lost. Now, how
I
they
see.
do that, how they can do both of those, don't know, but they did. Maybe you can ask Anthony how they do both of those. I mean, but apparently they did both of those on that particular tax year.
So
But
you're having these
anyway,
issues with the IRS. So does this happen often? Well, the big complication, of course, is COVID, right? Because it stopped mail and it disrupted all that. But typically, when Americans move to Canada, they still have to continue to file taxes in the U.S. I didn't know this.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty common. I mean, as long as you earn any income and you're a U.S. citizen, legally you're
Ah,
supposed to file tax
you
returns.
still kept your U.S. citizenship. You didn't become a
I mean,
Canadian citizen.
well, I'm a permanent resident. I haven't become a Canadian citizen yet. I
I
mean, I'm
see.
not given everything that's going on right now. I'm waiting to see how this legal stuff resolves
I
around
see.
me.
I didn't
Because
realize
I
that.
mean,
Okay. Okay.
but like I said, back in 2023, continuing the story,
Yeah.
I had that issue with the fraud flag. So I called the IRS and managed to get that part of it resolved on the phone and got 2021, 2022, and 2023 tax returns resolved. But I couldn't get my 2020 return resolved no matter how much time I spent on the phone. So by January 2024, I'm thinking I need to talk to a lawyer because I don't know what else to do to get the 2020 refund resolved. I mean, so I start looking into the law and thinking, okay, how do I get a lawyer? I tried calling everybody. I tried calling Anthony. He was busy. I tried calling other
Anthony
people.
Parent. Yep.
Yeah, I tried calling other people. Most of them were busy and or they wasn't going to go to court over no $1,800 or whatever because that's just such a small amount of money. They didn't see it as worth their time. So at that stage, I started looking at the laws and I started thinking, okay, Americans are broader taxpayers, and the laws didn't really come about. They came about haphazardly. So I'm thinking, what laws exist in the state as a taxpayer that I may be able to use to help me? And that's whenever I came across the Low Income Tax Clinic Act
Low
and
Income Cost Clinics Act. I don't know anything about that.
Low Income Tax Clinic Act. And that act was originally set up as a way to teach student lawyers how to become I give them experience in the real world so they could have so they'd like know what it's like to represent clients, but also be under the supervision of an actual lawyer, so that they could see the day-to-day work and get experience before they went out and represented people. That was what the act was originally set up for, and slowly it became pretty popular in the states. It eventually spread to where it's almost universal in all 50 states. But for whatever reason, it never spread outside the United States, mainly, I guess, because of complexity, or there was never really a demand or a need for it or whatever, or no one ever questioned it. But in this case, I happened to be the first one to actually say, wait a minute, why can't I use this? So I called around these tax clinics. Originally, I called the one in Tennessee because part of my tax year 2020 took place in Tennessee, so I thought they would represent me, but they suggested I reach out to someone at the border. So I thought I was calling the tax clinic in Washington, D.C., but really it was a tax clinic in Washington State. And I managed to get a lawyer, a student lawyer, to represent me. And they took it on a case-by-case basis. And I know based off the reporting requirements for this low-income tax clinic law, there is a non-shareable government report that they're concealing tied to me using the clinic. And that's one of the issues that I have right now, is trying to get a hold of that government report.
Fascinating. Is this an issue, a common issue with expats?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you mean by common. Is it common to have tax problems with the U.S. government as an expat? Yes. Is it common to have the specific legal questions I have now? No, it is not. I'm the only one with these unique legal problems.
How does that make you feel that you're the only one there? Does it less chance of you getting it resolved?
I don't know. I mean, I think I'll get it resolved. I mean, the government can't conceal the report forever. Governments can keep secrets, but they can't keep them secret forever, especially if it's a big secret. And I know, I mean, there's one other person. It's funny. I prayed for God to create me a job in 2022, 2023. That was one of my big prayers. And I do have legal questions about a certain job posting that's indirectly tied to all this. But there's something else. There is one other person I know of with unique legal questions about around the IRS that no other American abroad has. And can you guess who that is?
I can't.
The Pope.
The Pope.
Yeah.
Explain.
Well, he's the first U.S. citizen to actually be a pope.
That's right.
No other U.S. citizen has ever been a pope at the same time. So he's subject to taxation under the U.S. tax law, while also being the head of state of the Vatican and stuff. So he's kind of there's unique issues around him.
There is, and generally churches are non-taxable.
Yeah,
right?
So there's legal questions all over is the Pope taxable? Is he not taxable?
I never considered the Pope as an expat, but I guess he is. Yeah, it's true. He's from Chicago, right?
Yeah, but it is interesting that me and the Pope both have legal issues with the IRS. Mine's related to a government job where I prayed for God to create me a job. And I mean, there's just something going on. I think there's a higher power involved in all that. That's the only explanation I can have for the craziness around it all.
So as we sit today, Gabriel, it's still unresolved, correct?
Yeah, it's still unresolved. I mean, right now I'm still going on podcasts. I'm supposed to possibly be on a radio station here shortly with it. That'd be my first time on radio. Mostly my appearances have been limited to letters to the editor and podcasts. Mainstream media hasn't been willing to bet the story or do much yet, so there's that.
You mentioned you've been praying for a job. How is that coming?
Well, that's probably the most interesting thing about it, because at the same time I was using this tax clinic, there was a job posting opened up at the IRS for the Taxpayer Advocate Panel International position. And I applied for that job posting, but there was a slight error on the job posting. The international option was not selectable, but instead of pulling the job posting, they just told everyone to select a state, and then click on any state and just put in the options where you can type up something that you're applying for the international position. So that's what I did, but that's not a valid job posting, which normally wouldn't be a problem. But I also had this unique issue with my taxes going on around this government report, this low income tax clinic. So that's kind of created a lot of legal questions about that job.
Now,
And
why not
that
look for
may
something
be
there? Sorry.
and that may be the job God is creating for me.
Interesting. Why not find something there local in Ontario?
And I've found jobs here too and stuff. I work part-time jobs at places. Right now I'm in a smaller town, so there's not as much work here. But I mean, I've been trying to do that well, but it's kind of hard whenever there's not very many jobs up north, especially in the area that I'm used to working, retail. I mean, the economy here is more of a mining and government work type of area, and I don't really have the degrees for mining or
Interesting.
physical health attributes for that either. I mean, I've got scoliosis, so that's a bit of a problem. But yeah, I mean, there's limits to the job market's not really the best up north.
What if discipline wasn't about punishment, but about unlocking your best self? I spent 2.5 years writing Discipline for Greatness because discipline changed my life. And I know it can change yours too. This isn't theory. Inside, you'll find real, practical steps you can use immediately to focus better, build stronger habits, reduce stress, accomplish your goals, and bring more balance to your life. Whether you're trying to get healthier, improve your career, or simply feel more control, this book gives you the framework. Start today. Grab your copy of Discipline for Greatness at joeypinz.com/book. Thank you. So the current issue that you're having, the outstanding issue that you're fighting for right now, is solely the issue of this one tax return from 2020. Everything else has been resolved, and the 2020 tax issue still has not been resolved, correct?
Well, I mean, I've resolved the 2020, but now I'm fighting for this government report, and I'm fighting to deal with legal questions I have, lingering secondary legal questions related to the original return.
And the reason they give you for not replying is what?
They don't give me a reason. Whenever I do whenever I email people about it, or whenever I do FOIA requests, I get very interesting Freedom of Information Act responses. I mean, even Anthony will tell you that some of the responses that he's seen with the FOIA, he said on one of his calls that it was very shady from the IRS, from what the IRS was doing and stuff. So, I mean, realistically, I'm no lawyer. I mean, you could probably ask Anthony a lot of those questions himself. He might give you a better idea of what all these weird legal questions around me are, but I know a lot of lawyers are scared of the legal issues. I've had one lawyer say that I'd be a great client financially, but I think he's scared of political fallout if he was to take this to court.
Explain. What's the political fallout? I mean, it's an IRS question.
I believe it's that job posting. That job posting, I mean, Congress created a job that basically where they solicit advice on how to improve the tax code and make the tax code better from the typical American. That's what those 75 panel jobs were originally set up as, was to be basically give the average person a voice while also allowing them to travel and stuff. They estimate maybe 375 hours a year of time would be dedicated to volunteer work, where you'd be taking feedback from people in your area or whatever to try and give feedback to the Congress on how to improve the tax code. That's fine and dandy until there's legal questions about the job itself. When there's legal questions about a job that's sole purpose is to give advice to Congress about how to improve the tax code, what happens to that job?
So is there a legal obligation on the part of the government if they put up a job posting and then don't hire for it or realize they did a bad job of describing it, or like what are the ramifications of something like that? Do you know?
Um, I mean, realistically, based on prior Supreme Court rulings, they, I mean, technically they could pull the job. I mean, even if they pulled the job, they can't change the fact that I applied for a job like that. And they can't change the fact that I have fought for that government report or the impact that that will have on Americans abroad.
Hmm.
So even if they change the law and decide that they want to pass a law where that job never existed, they can't change history. You can change the laws, but you can't change history.
Hmm.
And having that kind of thing attached to your head, I don't know what the impact of that will be. There may be security concerns of being the first taxpayer to use this. There may be some lunatic out there that wants to shoot you over that crap.
Hmm.
There's all sorts of crazies in this world.
Of
But I
course.
mean, you can't really predict the outcome of that, and that's why the lawyers are scared to get involved with it.
So what's best case scenario here, Gabriel? Let's assume somebody who has the answers to all these questions is listening and they give you a call. What's the best case that could happen?
Well, the best case would be realistically pushing it to Congress, because I have a feeling
Pushing
the
what to
only
Congress?
the legal questions about this job and this government report, because I believe only Congress will be able to give me the answers to what ultimately will happen with this or how this happens.
Okay, so let's go over this again because I'm missing something. So there was a job description posting that was put out. You applied for it, and there's questions about it, and there's a report as well that you have questions about. So let's start with the job. The job posting was put out. You applied for it. You never heard back. You're not sure what the status is of it.
I mean, I heard back and they lied to me about about the job posting. I
How did
mean,
they lie?
well, they said the international position was selectable in the emails they sent me,
I see.
which is funny because in the public post they made, it was not selectable. So either the email is a lie or the public post is a lie, but they both can't be true.
Okay, well, you could see that could be just a technical glitch. That could be a I mean that.
Well, I mean, on
I'm
its
not, a
own,
lie is a really blatant thing. It could just be an
I mean, on
oversight.
its own, you
That's
could
one
say
thing.
that.
It's an oversight. I'm in the tech business. Sometimes things aren't set up correctly or whatever it may be. So the issue of that itself, you applied for it. They responded to you. Have they closed it? Have they hired somebody for it?
Well, they hired someone for it right now. His name's
Oh,
John Shoemaker, and technically, me and him are talking and stuff, and he's
oh,
helping
good.
me out somewhat.
Oh, good.
Now, on its own, that's not really that big of a deal. I mean, you can't sue over that typically,
It wouldn't
even
seem
if it
there's any
is
real wrongdoing there. That's for sure. And the other issue is the report. Some report
yeah,
that
the
you have a question.
report, though, is what makes it interesting, because if the report shows what I suspect it will, which is that my case is unique with that tax clinic, which, based on everything I've got publicly available information and other sources, I'm the only taxpayer to have used a low income tax clinic outside the United States. There is a government report that details information about my case, like how I had to file separately, about my income filing requirements, and what they did to help me, like file another return, everything there's a report out there that details my case. I know this from the Freedom of Information Act documents I got from one lawyer, that there's questions about that government report. It didn't show exactly what's in the report, but there's questions about it.
And you
Now,
can't get this report? You've asked
I've
for this
tried to
report and you
get
can't.
it. I've asked for this report. I've asked my congressman to try and get this report, but they never really helped me. It's hard to get a hold of your congressman.
And
So,
getting this report will do what for you? Let's say you can get
well,
it.
I believe it will show to Congress in a form that's easy to read exactly what the average American abroad has to put up with when they do their income taxes,
I
which would be
see.
very helpful for tax reform.
So that's your big stance, Gabriel. It's just the way that expats have to file. It's cumbersome. It's hard to get questions. It's hard to get access. It shouldn't be this difficult.
And no, I mean, it shouldn't be this difficult. Honestly, I mean, the tax code is a total complete mess.
By design, though, right? Because they don't want it to be simple. Otherwise, you could do it yourself.
Well, I mean, really, it's the H&R Block of the world and the Intuit, TurboTax. These companies are the ones that really benefit the most from the way the tax code is. What they usually do is they charge you to do your taxes, then they go to Congress and lobby to keep your taxes complicated, so you pay them more money.
So you describe yourself as a normal guy. You're a really smart guy. You're focused. I appreciate your time today. But what keeps you fighting this fight, Gabriel?
Well, I mean, I guess the main reason I keep fighting is just the fact that, I mean, that's what I've always done. I mean, I fought the Canadian government to try and move to Canada to be with my wife. I mean, I guess if I'm not fighting, what would I be doing? I mean, that's just something you do. You keep fighting for what you think is best and trying to make the world a better place.
What has this journey taught you about asking for help?
Well, I mean, it's taught me that don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, you never know whenever asking for help could change your life. I mean, all it takes is one phone call to, say, a tax clinic, and you might create a government report or something that helps people. Or asking a simple question at the airport, like, can you help me find my way somewhere? Could be the difference between you missing a plane or not missing a plane. So don't be afraid to ask for help. That's something everybody should be able to do, regardless of how well off you think you are, how knowledgeable you think you are. You shouldn't be afraid to ask for help.
So do you think the system is broken, Gabriel, or it's just misunderstood? Or maybe both?
Honestly, it probably is a bit of both. I mean, some of it's misunderstood, some of it's broken. I mean, there's a misunderstanding that people think that the IRS is just out to get them. A lot of people probably think that, but that's not really the truth. I mean, there's a lot of nice people at the IRS that I've talked to. Most of them are just overworked and stressed.
Right.
And
like all of
by
us.
by the same token, it is broken too, because the laws themselves are so complicated. Even the people working at the IRS, they're victims of the IRS themselves in their own way, because they're having to enforce a tax code that they don't fully understand.
So what would be fair? So let's say we put you in charge of the expat tax system. What should that look like?
I mean, realistically, if I could pass any tax bill right now and completely change the tax code, I would look at HR 25, the fair tax, because it removes the ability of Congress to pass an income tax and replaces it with a national sales tax, but it also gives a probate to people who are poor, or to people up to a certain income, so to cancel out the taxes on people earning up to the poverty level. But I think that would be the best tax, because it prevents Congress from deciding what you do with your money, or giving incentives on how you spend your money, and you get to decide what you do with your money and how you spend it. Right now, if Congress wants to, they can pass a law that says anyone named Joey is going to get a 10% tax credit on buying a house.
I'm for that.
Well, that gives everyone who's named Joey an incentive to buy a house, but it kind of punishes anyone who isn't named Joey.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's not really a fair tax system. And I don't think Congress should be able to pick winners or losers using the tax code. So if you can get rid of that incentive, it makes it a lot easier to police the government and what they do. Also, it reduces the number of taxpayers that have to report, because now, instead of every taxpayer filing a tax return, it would be the places that sell products that would have to deal with the taxes. Like, that would be Walmart or Sam's Club or Amazon, places where you buy products, they would be the ones collecting and paying the tax. And they don't have as much of an incentive to defraud the tax system.
Hmm.
So overall, the fair tax would be a lot easier to administer and a lot easier to enforce and a lot simpler than the current tax system.
Good for you. So where do you see this going, Gabriel, over the next 5-10 years? Think it's going to get better? You optimistic?
I do think it's going to get better. I mean, the tax code has gotten so messed up and so convoluted and crazy. I don't think it can get much any worse. I mean, I see it I only see it as being able to get better just because once you get to rock bottom with a tax code as bad as that, there's only one way to go, and that's better.
Hmm. So what has I asked you if you were optimist through all this, you're still able to talk to some people. You can't get all the answers you want, but you're able to talk to some. Are you more cynical about the system? Are you more optimistic about it?
I mean, it depends. Like, am I optimistic that the system can change? Yes.
Hmm.
Am I optimistic about resolving my situation and getting answers to my situation? I am. I mean, I've seen a slow signs of it moving slowly. I get a new Freedom of Information Act document that answers a few questions. Maybe it raises more questions. I get a new lead on someone who might be able to help me here and there. I get access to, say, someone at a radio station like I recently got that might be able to help me. So slowly, I am getting somewhere.
Yeah, and you keep fighting. Good for you. Good for you. Gabriel, is there something that you believed in strongly 10 years ago that you no longer believe now?
I used to believe that America was built around the concept of no taxation without representation, and I
Hmm.
used to believe that that was what the American Revolution was about. But nowadays, I'm not really sure. I mean, my belief in what the American Revolution was about, and just about American history in general, has shifted a lot since I moved to
Hmm.
Canada.
Hmm.
I mean, nowadays, I think if the King George or whoever was the king at the time of the American Revolution was around today, he would probably be laughing at the United States government, saying, "Look what you did. You complained about my little tea tax, and look what tax system you have."
That's a really good point. It's a really, really good point. Yeah. Yeah. Is there a question, Gabriel, you wish more people would ask you?
I mean, not that I can think of. I'm open to answer anyone's question, but I haven't really met people who wouldn't ask a question. I mean, it'd be nice if more people listen to podcasts I was on and stuff.
Mm.
Surprisingly, despite my claims and how many I've been on, not very many people have listened to them.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypins.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it. So I started my business, Gabriel. I'm a little bit older than you in the 90s, and I was working too hard. I'm from the Northeast in the States, and not paying attention to my diet and exercise, and 14, 16-hour days, and poor eating habits and diet. And next thing I know, I'm in front of the doctor, and she tells me I'm at 340 pounds. So I gained all this terrible amount of weight. And she says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My daughter was just born. So it scared the life out of me. And, I spent the next 6-7 months, lost about 120 pounds, and I kept it off. You can't look at these things like finishing lines, right? These are lifelong changes. So when I tell people this, they always say, what's your secret? What did you do to lose that weight? And I always say just one word: discipline. I set up routine, focus, systems, motivation. How does discipline work, and what role does it play in your life, Gabriel Morrow?
I mean, I'm learning a lot myself about how, well, I mean, historically, I'll admit I've not always had the most discipline in my life. I mean, I've had a bad habit of eating junk food, things like that. So I would say I've definitely not had enough discipline. And in some ways, I've learned with my health issues that's where that leads you.
Mm.
But I mean, I'm also starting to learn how to actually have discipline. Like, I mean, a good example is I'm learning like how to say no to people more whenever I don't,
Mm.
whenever, and how to be more strict with people. I'm learning to stand up to people like my own family. They don't believe me with my taxes and the legal questions around them, but I've learned to just stand up to them and say, this is true. Now, a lot of them still don't believe me, but they at least started acting more different toward me at least.
Good. As a child, was discipline instilled in the household? Was it talked about? Was it just assumed? Was it demonstrated?
Well, I mean, as a child, it wasn't really demonstrated as much, but I mean, it wasn't really demonstrated as a child to me.
And you think that's carried on till now?
Yeah, to a degree.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.